right, on your left, be at the 45-degree angle. Repeat after I, the chair of the Moorish American prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
The Father of love.
The Father of love.
Truth. Peace.
Peace. Freedom.
And justice.
And justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My God.
My God.
And my salvation.
And my salvation.
By night.
By night.
And by day.
And by day.
Through his holy prophet.
Through his holy prophet.
Through Ali.
Through Ali.
Amen.
Amen.
So remain standing. Islam. First I give praise to Allah.
First I give praise to Allah,
The great God of the universe.
the great God of the universe.
I give honor to his holy divine prophet.
I give honor to his holy divine prophet,
Noble Drew Ali.
Noble Drew Ali,
The founder of the Moorish Science of America.
the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
I give honor to the forerunner to the prophet.
I give honor to the forerunner to the prophet,
Brother Marcus Garvey.
Brother Marcus Garvey.
I give honor to all true and divine prophets.
I give honor to all true and divine prophets,
Jesus. Muhammad. Buddha.
Confucius,
Etc.
etc.
I give honor to our past leaders of the Moorish Science of America.
I give honor to our past leaders of the Moorish Science Temple of America,
Brother C. Kirkman Bey.
Brother C. Kirkman Bey,
Brother F. Nelson Bey.
Brother F. Nelson Bey,
And Brother J. Blake Bey.
and Brother J. Blakely Bey.
I give honor to our former Grand Sheikh and moderator of the Moorish Science of America.
I give honor to our former Grand Sheikh and moderator of the Moorish Science Temple of America,
Brother R. Lovell.
Brother Allah Lil.
I give honor to our present Grand Sheikh, who is the moderator of the Moorish Science of America.
I give honor to our present Grand Sheikh, who is the moderator of the Moorish Science Temple of America,
Brother R. Jones Bey.
Brother R. Jones Bey.
I give honor to the Assistant Grand Sheikh of the Moorish Science of America.
I give honor to the Assistant Grand Sheikh of the Moorish Science Temple of America,
Brother P. Chase Hill.
Brother P. Shakespeare.
I give honor to the Grand National Secretary of the Moorish Science of America.
I give honor to the Grand National Secretary of the Moorish Science Temple of America,
Sister I. Moore Bey.
Sister Imo Bey.
I give honor to the Financial Secretary of the Moorish Science of America.
I give honor to the Financial Secretary of the Moorish Science Temple of America,
Sister T. Potter Bey.
Sister T. Potter Bey.
I give honor to all national, state, and local officials of the Moorish Science of America.
I give honor to all national, state, and local officials of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
I give honor to the Grand Governor of Washington, D.C.,
I give honor to the Grand Governor of Washington, D.C.,
Brother H. Harris Bey,
Brother H. Harris Bey,
and to his assistant,
and to his assistant,
Brother T. Gatehill.
Brother T. Gatefield.
I give honor to all sheikhs and members of the Moorish Science of America.
I give honor to all sheikhs and members of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
I give honor to all auxiliaries of the Moorish Science of America.
I give honor to all auxiliaries of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
I give honor to the American flag,
I give honor to the American flag,
the Moorish flag,
the Moorish flag,
and to our charter.
and to our charter.
I give honor to everything that the prophet brought
I give honor to everything that the prophet brought
for the uplifting of fallen humanity.
for the uplifting of fallen humanity.
I give honor to man.
I give honor to man.
Peace.
Peace.
Salvation, our God, unity. The Moorish Science of America, the divine constitution of our law. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the chairman of the Moorish Science of America is empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the prophet and the grand body of the Moorish Science of America. The assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and is known for the members of the Moorish Science of America. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on a Friday, the first man formed in flesh, and on a Friday, the first man departed out of flesh, unsent to the Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science of America. No member to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister or any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must preserve these holy divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government. Because of being a Moorish American, you are a part and parcel of the government and must live life accordingly. Act 5. This organization of the Moorish Science of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the state government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and a parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era time there, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish American are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabit the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part, any partial of all uplifting act of the Moorish Science of America. Members must pay their dues and keep allowing all the necessities of the Moorish Science of America. Then you are entitled to a name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children, look after duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother, being industrious, and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans keep their hearts and minds pure with love, and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from the Holy Prophet Noble Ali through the God Father God Allah. Noble Ali founder, Moorish American prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, Father, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, through Ali. Amen. The Moorish Science of America, Home Office, 2905 5th Street, Southeast, Washington, D.C., 20032. That's what I read from the Divine Constitution Bylaws. Now I'd like to read from the questionnaire and additional law for the Moorish Americans by the Prophet Noble Ali. Act 1. Grand sheiks and governors enhance all temples, all businesses. Each said temple must be approved by the Prophet Noble Ali. Before acting upon by any members, let it be financed property or any line of life that will cause the members to sacrifice, finance, etc. that will cause the support of any group of members. Any former officer that violates these laws is subject to be removed from his office under heavy restriction as set by the Prophet of the Grand Sheikh. Act 2. All members are to attend the ADAP meetings and their public meetings promptly. If a member is found standing around the meeting period, she'll be fined 50 cents on the first case, and on the second, he'll be fined $1, which will be an emergency fund. If a member is working, his monthly dues must be paid. And if he has money in the bank, he must subscribe for as much as he is able to the Moorish Uplifting Fund, because it takes finance to uplift the nation. Act 3. It is lawful and divine duty of every good member, if he is able to finance to aid me in saving the nation. And if he does not, he is an enemy to the cause of uplifting his own people, and justice must catch you. Let it be he or she according to law, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And had the power invested in my hands, I will have to force the law in order to save the nation. Act 4. All members, while making a public speech, must not use any assertion against the American flag or speak right against the church or any member of any organized group, because we are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Act 5. All members must properly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school. And the teacher must confirm himself to the questionnaire and let every member exercise 5 senses who is able to do so, because offering the Sunday school can guide us of the nation. Act 6. But first, all members must proclaim their nationality. And we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era time there, and all men now proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish American are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a partial of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple. Members will pay their dues and keep alive all the necessities of the Moorish Science Temple. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children, look after duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother, being industrious, and become part of the upthing of all of humanity. All mortal marriages keep their hearts and minds pure with love, and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Ali, through the God's Father, God, Allah. That's what I read from the questionnaire and just know all 7 acts. Now I'd like to read from the Holy Quran of the Most High to our mother, divinely prepared by the Noble Prophet, Noble Ali. I'd like to read from chapter number 3. Chapter 3 is Lessons of Unity of Life. Again, Elihu met his pupils in the sacred grove and said, no man lives unto himself, for every living thing is bound by cord to every other living thing. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will love and not demand love in return. They will not do unto other men what they will not have other men do unto them. They are 2 selves, the higher and the lower self. The higher self is human spirit clothed with soul, made in the form of Allah. The lower self, the carnal self, the body of desire, is a reflection of the higher self, distorted by the murky ether of the flesh. The lower self is an illusion and will pass away. The higher self is alive man, but will not pass away. The higher self is the embodiment of truth. The lower self is truth reversed, so is falsehood manifest. The higher self is justice, mercy, love, and right. The lower self is what the higher self is not. The lower self breeds hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harms. The higher self is mother of virtues and harmonies of life. The lower self is rich in promises, but poor in blessedness and peace. It offers pleasure, joy, and satisfying gain, but gives unrest, misery, and death. Peace. Islam, boys.
Islam.
I'd like to welcome all out to our Sunday school here in Washington, D.C. Praise the Lord for our Sunday school. Do we have anybody downstairs? Come on. I pray that everybody feeling well, that anybody need literature, you can raise your hand, my people will assist you. And if you need any water, anything like that, raise your hand, my people will assist you. Pray that Allah, that everybody will check the cell phone. And that whoever's going to teach Sunday school, children's Sunday school, you want to take the name? Pray that all our children have a good Sunday school today.
Praise the Lord.
They've been coming up rapidly with all these questions. What are they doing now in the Sunday school? Our kids be on, they come.
Yeah. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord.
Take it. Again, I'd like to welcome all to our Sunday school members, Wakefest, friends, seekers after the truth. Welcome to here at Temple 71. This is our Sunday school. As I read on our Sunday school in the guise of the nation, we'll be instructed by the Grand Sheikh, who is the moderator of the Most High to our mother, John Gracie. So when he comes up, he's going to be going through the questionnaire and the Holy Quran of the Most High to our mother, and he will be asking questions. If you have any questions or concerns or anything that need to be said, raise your hand, state your name for the record. So record is being kept at every meeting. Also, we are on Facebook, so we are seen all over the country, and some temples are watching us, and some temples are participating with us. So, we will be mindful of that. So, we're gonna have a moment of silent meditation before I call out Grand Seeker Moderator. Islam.
Islam.
Without further ado, I'd like to call forth the Grand Sheikh, who is the moderator of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Brother John Bay, and the Club of Sunday School. Jay, I get a question here?
You need one?
Yes, sir. I have one up there.
Okay.
That'll do.
Allah, Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Jew Ali. Amen.
Praise
Allah.
Islam.
Islam.
All right. Who made you?
Allah.
Who is Allah?
Allah is the Father of the universe.
Can we see him?
No.
Where is the nearest place we can meet him?
In the heart.
Who is Noble Jew Ali?
He is Allah's prophet.
What is a prophet?
A prophet is the thought of Allah manifested in the flesh.
What is the duty of a prophet?
Save nations from the wrath of Allah.
Who is the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America?
Noble Jew Ali.
What year was the Moorish Science Temple of America founded?
1913
Where?
AD. Newark, New Jersey.
Where was Noble Jew Ali born?
In the state of North Carolina, 1886.
What is his nationality?
Moorish
What
American.
is your nationality?
Moorish American.
Why are we Moorish American?
Because we are descendants of Iraqis and born in America.
For what purpose was the Moorish Science Temple of America founded?
For the uplifting of fallen humanity.
How did the prophet begin to uplift the Moorish Americans?
By teaching them to be themselves.
What is our religion?
Islamism.
Is that new? Is that the old time religion?
Old time religion.
What kind of a flag is the Moorish?
It is a red flag with a 5-pointed green star in the center.
What do the 5 points represent?
Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
How old is our flag?
It is over 10,000 years old.
Which is our holy day?
Friday.
Why?
Because Friday is the day on which man was formed in the flesh, and it was born out and he departed out of flesh.
Who was Jesus?
He was a prophet of Allah.
Where was he born?
In Bethlehem of Judah in the house of David.
Let me ask you something. What is one of the most important things to know about Jesus? Come on, brother Smith.
Yeah, you can cross the borderline over there.
Okay, why is that important though?
I couldn't hear what he said.
Say it again, Mark.
They can cross the borderline over there.
Okay, because he can cross the borderland at will. What makes that important?
It makes that important to me because what he has done, he said that all men can do.
Okay, all right. Okay. Come on, Mo.
Come to show the possibilities of man.
That's good. Come to show the possibilities of man. The possibilities of what?
Of what man can achieve.
Of what man can achieve. Okay, okay. All right. Somebody else.
Islam.
Come on, man.
Jesus was all of love made manifest, so he came to show we need a pattern for our lives. We need to see that. So we need to see love because we don't understand. We can't comprehend love from a divine point of view.
Okay, okay. Come on, man.
How Jesus was sent to earth. I mean, how he was planted to his mother. Seed, how his seed was planted to his mother.
Okay, okay. Anybody else? Come on, man.
He came looking like us?
Yes. Yeah. That's good.
Praise the Lord.
That's good. Anybody else?
It's almost done.
Come on, Brother Grant.
Well, what I was helping, let's go some folks. Could you ask the question again?
Yes. What is one of the most important things? Yeah, right. Thank you. What are one of the most important things about Jesus? Thank you.
There's the secretary.
Praise the Lord.
Yes.
Islam.
One of the most important things that I see is that he can prove what Allah made manifest.
That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. And what you're saying is good. And it's true. But I didn't hear anyone say that Jesus is a thought. How can you imitate him if you don't first understand that he's a thought? He's a thought. And what do you do with a thought? What was done with you? You're a thought. So what do you do with a thought? You got to plant it. You got to plant it. You have to take the thought that is Jesus and plant it where in you? In your heart.
Yes.
You have to take this thought that's the manifestation of love, and you must take this thought and plant it in your heart. Because the thought first is a what?
Seed.
It's a seed. So you have to take this seed and plant it in your heart. And then you do what?
Nourish it.
You nourish it.
Water it.
Water it. And that's done by way of your what? Your practice. Your practice enables that thought to grow. Then you see love. Not outside, but from where?
Yes.
Within. Because love outside is confined. That's why it's easy to pick a person that you're most familiar with, or that you have something in common with, or that you grew up with, or that you were born into the family of, and you focus on, I love them. But you may not understand loving someone else. That's why it's necessary for you to acquaint yourself with love, so that you know that love has many what? Say it. Facets. Love cannot be what? Nor can it be confined. That's when you learn to understand what it is. To be able, see, without love, you can't serve.
That's what.
You can't serve if you don't, see, if you don't learn about love, you can't serve, because why? You will pick and choose. He's not okay with me, so I'm not doing that for him. I like you. See, once you acquaint yourself with love, you know that love has no picks. And it's not that you're going to love anybody right away. You are going to have to what? Learn to love.
Process.
Yes. That only comes from practice. Because as you take the thought of love, Jesus, and you start to take that seed and you plant it, you start to see different degrees of love. And it's all, like you say, a process. Come on.
And when it was told to Jesus' mother and them
Yes.
about love and holy zeal, setting
Setting their
souls
soul.
on fire
Yes.
with love and holy zeal,
Yes.
because it will prepare you to serve.
Yes.
So love is a factor in serving.
There's no question.
Yes, it is.
There's no question.
Mm-hmm.
There's no question. Because without love, you serve selfishly.
Right.
You serve and you look for what? Something in return. I do this for you, you do that for me. Love is a distinguishing factor which allows you to peer into the essence and get a glimpse of the essence of God. That's why it is necessary for you to practice. Without the practice, you don't know love.
Mm-mm.
You only know of it. And knowing of love is not going to save you. It's not going to raise you up. When you know of love, it's not going to raise you up because, see, you don't know love. Love is what raises you up, or making the attempt to learn. Now, they did say you must set their souls on fire with love and holy zeal. How do you do that? Because you got to be set on fire.
Yes, sir. Lord, teach you.
You got to be set on fire. Because if you ain't set on fire, I ain't trying to do nothing.
That's right.
Some people, we need a flame.
A spark.
Something has to get you to a point where you submit and say, okay, I'm ready to try this thing.
Yeah. Yes.
Something has to get you to a point. That's why the ways of life offer you opportunities of being exposed to the very things you need to overcome. And you pass through all the ways of life. In those areas that you need some work on, present themselves to you to bring it to your attention that I have to deal with this. But see, sometimes we run through the ways of life. We move through the ways of life so fast we don't pay attention to our what?
Present concern.
That's right. Or experiences. We don't pay attention to our experiences. And you can't be successful in your attempt to gain some type of control over yourself unless you pay attention to your experiences. Because in your experience lies instructions. Come on, Mo.
Man is sure to find it.
Yes, Mo.
We can solve this problem better.
Mo, the experience that you create is where you find yourself
Yes, sir.
in the condition that you have created. And in that condition, you can solve your problem.
But what if you don't know it?
That's what I'm saying. You pass right through it. Doomed to return and back again and again until you get it. So yeah, practice
That's right.
the thought. Acquaint yourself with the thought. But when you take on this thought, you must have a what to propel you upward.
Can you repeat that one?
When you take on this thought, you must have a to propel you upward. You need me to repeat it? You have to have something to propel you forward.
A desire.
Thank you. You got to have a desire. You got to have a desire. And you take that desire and you allow that desire to touch your what? What does that desire have to become associated with? Yes, but what part?
Lord.
Your will.
Will, no?
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Praise God. Praise God.
But your will.
Determination.
Just because you have a desire, if you don't have the willingness to utilize that desire to bring about the result that you seek, it's just a desire laying dormant. It needs to be infused by willpower. And you take that desire and you use that desire to help get you across that mountain. Because without the desire to cross the mountain, you'll stay on this side. Without the willpower infused into the desire to leave the world, you will remain in the world. But willing takes what? Effort
Determination.
and determination. But look, and you're crowned when you end up being what? Consistent. See, you consistently put a infusion of energy into that desire.
So I can't be hoodwinked with that first infusion.
You shouldn't.
I need to say that was the one that it energized me to do it again.
Yes.
And do it again. And
Yes.
keep doing it.
Yes, yes, yes. You know, it's like it was said, it's a process. But you must know the process because you can't skip steps.
That's right.
That's why you examine your heart and you have to begin to take a reevaluation. And your reevaluation must be done by examining what? Examine what?
Yeah.
That's right. And you examine your heart by doing what? What must you do to examine your heart? Yes, 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 yes. But follow the process. The process is call remembrance to your aid.
Okay.
How you gonna know what to examine unless you revisit it? You revisit your experiences that has caused you discomfort. Those things that have created unhealthy conditions, confrontations, arguments.
Yes.
You call remembrance to your aid so that you can make an examination and find out where I misapplied a lesson.
Praise God. Praise God.
How did I find myself into this situation? Well, you have to go back and revisit it because if you don't, you can find yourself in it again. Because obviously it's something that you had a propensity to move towards. Something attracted you. Don't you want to know what attracts you to follow in a situation, create a situation that's going to cause you some discomfort?
Negative results.
Don't you think you should find out, well, why I keep on getting into this?
Yes.
Come on.
Once you find it, it's most likely a weakness or something, right?
Well, it all depends. First of all, you have to, once you find it, you have to identify it, what it is. See, you know, there are weaknesses that can, this can be a weakness, a fault, because man mendeth not his faults. It could be a fault that hasn't been put in check. But once you find it, how do you eliminate it?
Accepting it for the fact of what it is and burn it. You gotta go.
Burn it.
You gotta go.
Use the word,
See,
use the tools
you
in
got
the
to be
workshop of the mind.
Yeah.
Keep that root and burn it to the root.
Yeah.
Core belief.
Yeah. And you have to examine yourself to make sure that it is not a habit. See, we have practiced certain things over and over and over that they have become where they feel normal.
Yes, yes.
Now we have to examine that to make sure, man, that's a habit. I seem to always do this. What can I? Well, you need to break the habit. You continue to get into the situation. Why? Because it's a habit. And your response to the situation has become habitual. Because as soon as that habit, or as soon as it gets you to a certain point and touches that little piece in you, you respond the same way. Why? Because I've always acted like that. Come on.
So you have to examine your choices.
Yes, but see, your choice comes from what? Where do your choices come from? What influences one's choice?
Desire.
Our perception.
Your perception. What influences desire?
Thoughts.
Thank you.
Thoughts is always.
Thank you. The thoughts you hold. Not the thoughts that all of a sudden you pick up when you come into the temple. You're going to think a certain way. Because you know, when you start talking about certain things, you want to be able to contribute. So I'm going to think about the temple stuff. As soon as I get out of the temple, I'm going back out there. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, because your thoughts are altered. Because you haven't did what?
Established.
Right. You haven't established.
I haven't challenged.
You haven't what?
I haven't challenged them to know that they are in error.
Right.
So as I begin to accept the fact that I've had this, took on this habit and had this habit for a while, now I need to challenge my own perception about this habit so I can change it.
But that's only predicated on you accepting this. See, you have to be able to accept. If you're going to go into battle, I have to accept what I need to go into battle. I can't be doubting that what I'm taking is going to break as soon as I swing it. You see what I'm saying?
So I definitely had to go back to believing my conditions can be better.
You have
because I would have never been here.
Oh, you got to go back to the start.
I said that this is what got me here because I see that where I was going
Yeah.
wasn't working.
Right.
So when I got exposed, I had to believe that my conditions can be better.
Yes.
So there was a level of acceptance just stepping in this door.
Yes. But guess what? Your lower self also lets you know you can do better. If you hadn't done that and did this, you would have got over.
So it teaches us to identify our lower self.
Yeah.
Hatred, slander, nudity, murder,
Yeah.
steps, and everything else.
Yeah.
So now I got a glimpse of it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I know each one of those words are attached to something else.
Yes. That's right.
So I got that glimpse of what, so I know what that thing been, and I got some history
Yes.
with operating out of that system.
Yes.
All that gotta go.
Yes. Yes.
There's an eviction process that gotta go.
Yeah.
Then the way I think,
Yeah.
it gotta go.
Yes. Yes.
It can't stay there.
Yeah.
It gave me too much misery.
Right. And they're not, and you want to try to get rid of as much of the elements that's associated with that way of thinking as you possibly can. Because wherever you leave that little dot,
Can go back again.
you'll find yourself reverting back to the same behavior that you displayed when you were under the influence of it. See, you can stop a certain thing for a minute. The practice.
That's right.
Yeah.
You can stop the practice,
Just one
but you
thing.
haven't addressed the thought that brings about the practice.
That's right.
So that means the thought is still there. You may not do that like that anymore, but you still do that. It's just in another way.
Praise the Lord.
So what happens is, that's the whole purpose of examination. You have to dissect your thoughts when you start to change the way you think, to make sure that your thought is really changing. Because your thought can be made to give the appearance of change when it really hasn't changed at all. And the only way that you can identify that is when you do what? What must you be able to do? Examine, but the examination brings about a what?
Change.
It does. It brings about a change. The examination doesn't bring about a change by itself.
Knowledge.
The result.
Self-awareness.
Okay. Examination brings about identification.
Yeah, right. What it is.
And he gave you what you can identify with the one and the other. Watch what they breed. Watch what they breed. Because in the breeding, what issues forth from what it breeds is the determining factor of what it is.
Praise the Lord.
But then you have to make sure that I'm not looking at this thing with a selfish eye. Because if I'm looking at it with a selfish eye, what I am identifying is of benefit to me. Because I'm only looking at it from my perspective. And to me, it's all right. See, it's a lot when you talk about going into the workshop of the mind and starting to examine your thinking. It's not just waking up one morning and saying, I ain't going to do that no more. That will not suffice.
So it said, blessed are the pure in heart, for they
Yes.
will love and not demand
Yes,
love in return.
that's right. See, you have to really be sincere in cleaning up.
That's it.
Come on, my brother.
And in that sincerity, you have to work on losing the
Yes.
desire.
Yes.
We gotta lose those desires.
Yes.
It's just like going from, as you growing up.
Yes.
You know? You play with toys and you get older, you don't have a desire to play with toys.
Right. Right.
You
That's right.
lose it.
That's right.
You put something in its place.
That's right.
More beneficial.
That's right. That's right.
And that's what he's teaching us, how to replace those things.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Let me ask you this, since we're on this conversation. Let's talk about David for a minute. You know what I'm talking when I say David, who I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what do you think was one of the major elements that David had to have as he confronted the giant?
Faith, courage.
Faith, courage. Okay. Faith and courage. No question. That's good. What else do you think he had to have?
Will.
Huh?
Will.
Yeah, that's right. What else do you think he had to have?
Knowledge.
He did have to have knowledge. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So I'm listening, I think about it, when I think about David, I think about him already, he was a servant
Okay.
already, you
Okay.
know, and he had to have a level of humility along
Yes.
with that servant. So the cockiness
Yes.
of David,
Yes.
I mean of Goliath,
Yes.
you know, underestimated him.
Yes.
So he was confident that his approach to the situation, you know.
Yeah.
And when I think about spirituality, that light.
Yes.
You know, so I'm saying that my thinking has always been from a carnal point of view. Now I'm thinking from a spiritual point of view, and I see, I can see that this fool is thinking still in a carnal point of view.
Okay. Okay.
So something in that.
Okay, he did. And again, you're right. You're absolutely right. But you also know he had to have self-control. Do you know why he had to have self-control? Why do you think he had to have self-control? What the book tell you? The book tell you that someone said, behold, I sit unrivaled therein. Something said that's in us that tells us, behold, I sit unrivaled therein.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah.
He had to have control. Didn't say he wasn't afraid, but he was able to control his fear. Well, when you go into this, you got to be able to control your fear. Because, see, we're not used to doing that. Look, we're not always used to somebody saying something to us and we saying peace. We are. Who you think you talking to?
Right. Praise the Lord.
See, you can't be afraid when you can't be afraid to practice. Because it's not, no, it doesn't feel, it feels strange to practice trying to be humble. See, that feels a little strange because we're not used to doing that. Because being humble, the way we were taught, was being an indication that you're weak. And when you are perceived as being weak, you'll get taken advantage of. So we had to reinforce not showing no weakness. But now all of a sudden we come and we're being taught to be humble. And some people see you trying to be humble and they really go for it. And you know what's hurting sometimes? When you come in contact with somebody and you know that's not their makeup. I know that ain't you. And you screaming and hollering like you got a whole lot of heart. And you got to humble yourself. Not to engage into that type of what? Behavior. Because from that behavior comes a what? A condition. Now, in that condition of what? That condition is a condition of what? Conflict. And what else? Yes, but it is mainly a condition that exhibits a lack of self-control. See, when you're arguing, you're out of control. When you're fussing, you're out of control. It doesn't matter that you feel you're right. It doesn't matter. You are out of control. And now you're in a condition that you are creating, and you're in that created condition, and in that condition, anything can take place. Because you're no longer under the protection. More and everything comes into play now. You might say anything, you might do anything. That's why, again, you have to examine the way you think and what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
You have to watch what you let into the mind. Watch what you let into your mind, because the mind is where things are made of thought. You must watch the thoughts that enter into your mind, because from those thoughts you create conditions that you must experience. Come on.
It's like, well, I was just thinking about what you're saying, what you said. You know, we take it's a thin line between possibility and reality. Or let me say, it's a distance between possibility and reality. And it takes,
Yes.
I know for me, it takes a
I heard you
commitment and
say that.
courage.
Yes.
Commitment and courage to walk that distance.
Yes.
You know, so just to, you mentioned about what are you allowing into your mind.
Yes.
A lot of thoughts come, and a lot of time I think it's coming from outside of me, but those are mine.
That's right.
Those are my thoughts.
That's right.
So in that distance, as I see, oftentimes I'm willing to commit,
Yes.
but that irresolution steps in,
Sure.
especially when I'm doubting.
Sure.
So I'm just thinking about the distance between possibility and reality.
Sure. Well, look, we're passing through all the ways of life, and each way of life offers us another series of thoughts. And we take the thoughts that we hold on to from the way of life that we are presently in, and we take it to the next way. We have to address those thoughts, because we're carrying certain thoughts from one experience to another. One way of life to another. We're going through the way of life carrying those same thoughts, and those thoughts are creating the same condition, and also they're gaining momentum. See, they're getting bigger. They're not getting smaller because we're not addressing them.
This is a question
Yes.
based on that thought. So as we experience those thoughts, as we're going through these ways of life,
Yes.
if we identify for what it is, our power to dismiss it
Yes.
is at our
Yes.
whim.
But that's the purpose of going through the ways of life.
So I can,
That's so you can learn
Praise
how
God.
to,
Praise
because
God.
you, with those thoughts that you carry with you, you are creating. Those thoughts are causing you to create. Each time that you allow a thought to manifest, that's a thought that you have allowed to be created by you.
so whether that's a carnal or spiritual.
It doesn't matter.
Right. Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Right. So it's also my choice entirely what I do with it.
No question. no question. And your choice primarily of what takes place with your decision making. If I decide to proceed under this way of thinking, I have chosen to do that.
Right, praise the Lord, right.
Yes.
I was just looking at, I was just thinking when you were saying that, I was talking about that 12-step diet.
Yes.
Those tools that we use in the workshop with the mind.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Those things are made of thought.
Yes.
That came to my mind.
Yeah, that's well. See, that's where we at.
Yes.
Because what we are experiencing is a product of what we created that has been made manifest.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the thoughts that we so-called quit, wouldn't it be like a withdrawal process? It's a process.
Yes.
You withdraw from, you just don't drop it.
Right.
Because it's been in it so long that we just don't push it to the side like it don't exist.
Right. Right.
There's some things you're gonna have to go through.
Yeah.
Right. Right. See, the key, one of the keys that I'm learning is once it is made visible to you, that means from that moment you need to address it. It is being made known to you for a reason.
Yes. Yes.
And the minute you see it in yourself, you got to deal with it. You can't say, well, that's just how I am. You got to deal with it. That's why it's being made being made visible to you.
Praise the Lord.
My brother.
It's on, so, and once it is made visible to you, and what we're learning is that there's a result that comes from it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
It's only one of two,
Yes. Yes.
heaven or hell.
That's right. That's right. That's right, Mo. That's right.
You either creating heaven or you creating hell.
That's right, Mo. That's right. See, we don't like to examine our conditions. We like to take out of conditions that are really not appropriate for us. But there's some things in it we still like. And we try to play the fool by halves. We try to have it and not have it. So what does that show? Yes, but indecisiveness. You have not taken a stand. You have not made a choice. And until you make a choice, you're going to be various and wavering. So the condition that comes from your indecisiveness can only bring you unrest. You can't be at no peace because everything is switching up on you.
1 minute you will,
Next he willeth not. You haven't made a choice. The choice is whether I'm going to be inconstant or if I'm going to be constant.
Yeah.
Now I know if I'm going to be constant, this is what I have to do, and I can't have some of that in this if I'm going to do this. What are you willing to sacrifice?
Well, a lot of times I don't even want to go through nothing.
I know it. Me too.
I'm just talking about myself.
I'm talking about myself too.
It's not more. Praise the Lord for that thought, more. I just, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
No, it just made me realize why the prophet said if he could get you to think, he could get you to say it.
Yeah.
So,
You hear it.
That's it.
You hear the sound, Mo.
That's it.
the whole thought process.
That's the whole piece, Mo. It's the thought, Mo. He's a thought. If you don't accept him, you don't accept the thought. If you don't accept the thought, you cannot reap the benefits from it. You will never see it displayed before you until you accept it. All you're going to see displayed before you is what you are accepting.
Yes.
That's all you can see. You can hear it, and it sounds good, but what I am accepting is that only which I have decided. And there can't be but one or the other.
That's it.
That's why he told you, those who were with me 2,000 years ago are with me today. At some point, choices had to have been made. Now we find ourselves here now, and we all don't get here at the same time. You know, because in the ways of life, we have places that we have a tendency to stop at. And we linger, thinking that we'll straighten up tomorrow. For real. They got taverns along the ways of life. For real. And you go into the tavern. Well, I'm not going to continue this journey today. I'll pick it up tomorrow. And you steady in the tavern. You steady getting intoxicated. And once you become intoxicated, who knows how long you are under?
That's right.
Because under the illusion or under the intoxicant, your choices has to be altered. And in an altered state, you still create conditions. Because we're creators. And we make our own. And we pass through all the ways of life. So we're always passing through a way of life. But just like you have ways of life that gives you instructions of how to stay on the path, you have those ways of life that take you off of the path. The question is, what choice will you make? What's most appealing to you? What do you like? What do you see over there that you like? Is that going to take me off it, or is that going to keep me on it?
Or you might be like those who think they can have their cake.
And eat it too. Look, then here comes the tempter. And what the tempter does, see, the tempter's whole thing is to cause you to leave the path. That's the tempter's job.
That's his job. He do it well.
You may get up one morning with all the intentions in the world. I mean, I'm going to have me a good day today. I ain't let nobody do nothing to me.
Yes.
I'm just not going to get caught up in nothing that's not for me today. And the tempter say, okay.
Here we go.
And then the slightest thing can cause you to alter your choice, your direction.
Right.
You may see anything that can, and look, it doesn't have to be a direct confrontation right away. He gets us with little things that annoy us. Because once we get annoyed, the door's open.
That's emotion.
Come on, Mo. But that's how he moves. He wants you to get in an emotional state. Because once you become emotional, you what?
You can't
Don't
do that.
think.
You can't.
Don't use your roots.
You don't use it. I'm in it now. You know what I mean? And then pains rush in 1,000 at a time. You open the door. When you're passing through ways of life all the time, that's what I'm trying to impart to you. We're passing through the ways of life daily. The ways of life are not, they're not described by places that's manifested. You're passing through ways of life in your mind. My brother.
And you know, in our program, he teaches us what we have to do.
Yes.
He said, God, that's
Yes.
all the time.
That's what he says.
Passing through those ways of life are going to offer any consequence.
That's right.
That's what the illusion does.
That's right. That's right.
And we have to guard ourselves at all times against it.
That's right. That's right. Each way of life presents to you an altered state,
Yes.
Yes.
an altered condition. Each way of life exposes you to an altered condition. And that condition appeals to a certain part of you that is a result of a thought that you hold. And that thought that you're holding is what attracts, because thoughts become magnets. And like attracts like. Now, that thought that you're holding that you may not even have been given attention to will draw unto you that which is like it. Sometimes it's big. Sometimes it's small. But the key is being able to what? Identify, recognize. And that, remember something about it. It always has the same vibration.
Wow.
The vibration from it doesn't change. Whether it be at in a smaller rate or in a more advanced rate. Why? Because it is what it is. The appearance can change, but the vibration remains the same. Yeah.
And what I was thinking about in the experiences in life that we go through,
Yeah.
we have to take note.
Yes.
You know, make note, write it down, keep it, and reflect on it.
Yes.
Because when we get in those situations where we have to make decisions,
Yes.
our notes will help us.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
if we do this, we're gonna get this. If we do that, we're gonna get this. And,
Yes.
and as we go through the experience and write them down, make note of it, when you get in a situation, you'll almost you'll know what to do. It's just a matter of having the strength to do it.
Yes. Yes. And it would be a blessing if we could always write them down.
Yeah.
Because if we can, we'd have a heck of a book
Oh yes.
that people could identify with. They could identify with that book of our experiences and the outcomes of them that we have been able to write down. But for real, to be honest with you, it's already written down.
That's it.
Oh yeah.
And it's being recorded anyway.
Anyway, the key is, can you read? Can you read? You think you pick this up and you read it physically, that you're reading.
Praise
Look, that doesn't mean you're reading just because you can identify words.
Yeah, you comprehend.
And the only comprehension comes from being what you know. That's why you can read the teachings of Jesus all you want. And oh, that sounds good. Oh, wow, did he do that? Just like it's in here. But unless you have done a certain requirement, unless you have met a certain requirement, you can't internalize what's being said. And if you can't internalize it, all it is words on a page that provides you an opportunity for when you get in the mood to have a different type of discussion. See, when he said that he brings you, or when he brings us in here, he's not just bringing us in here for the purpose of bringing us together to debate, argue, get upset. He's bringing us in here to give the inner meaning of things. Your contribution comes by way of your practice. Because if you ain't practicing this, you really ain't got nothing to say. Because anything that you're giving is only what you believe perhaps is true.
Yeah.
How can you talk to me about being kind to somebody if you ain't practicing kindness? Because I need to know not the definition of Webster, what kindness means. I need to know what kindness means based on what I know. And for that, I must be. So when you come in here to make your contribution to the great program of uplifting fallen humanity, your discussion should be rooted on what you have been. What you're trying to do. Not based off of you getting caught up on reading something and then that makes you feel a lot more intelligent than you really are. You're not even taking into account that this is only preparing you to receive. It's just the potter building his furnace. You know, it's just the ground being prepared. But for you to really know, or for you to reap the benefits from your harvest, you got to be. Let's go to chapter 38.
Praise the Lord.
Chapter 38. The blessing of holy instructions from the prophet, the soul of man. The blessing, O man, of thy external part is health, vigor, and proportion. The greatest of these is health. What health is to the body, even that is honesty to the soul. That thou hast a soul is of all knowledge the most certain of all truths, the most plain unto thee. Be meek, be grateful for it. Seek not to know it perfectly. It is inscrutable. Thinking, understanding, reasoning, willing, call not these the soul. They are its actions, but they are not its essence. Raise it not too high, that thou be not despised. Be not thou like unto those who fall by climbing. Neither debase it to the sense of brutes. Nor be thou like to the horse and the mule, in whom there is no understanding. Search it by its faculties. Know it by its virtues. They are more in number than the hairs of thy head. The stars of heaven are not to be counted with them. Do you know you know where fear is found? It's found. Where's fear found? Who is fear saying? Behold, he's making a statement. Behold, I sit unrivaled therein. Where is fear found?
In the heart.
It is in the heart. But go ahead. Come on, Mom.
In a thought.
It is in the thought. Come on, Mom.
I'm thinking about your imagination.
It is. It is an imagination. It does conjure up from the imagination. Yes, it does. But do you know what becomes afraid when conditions change? That's and it's not guided properly.
Nervous system.
It does. Nervous system. But listen, what? Yeah. Well, the body does give off that reaction.
Right.
It does. Yeah, Mom.
I said this many times before. We fear what we don't understand.
Well, that's the truth. Some of us. Because, see, some of us should fear what we don't understand. I wish I had a fear what I didn't understand. But I didn't have no fear. So I indulged. I should have had some fear. You should be fearful to even indulge in that. You see what I'm saying? But your soul can fear. She can become afraid.
Yeah.
Without guidance, she becomes fearful. So now the thought proclaimeth, behold, I sit unrivaled therein. Now if you're not guiding her, if you don't pull her back in, she'll run. She'll run, man. So you got to be able to keep a hold on her. That's why it's so important that you draw a circle. Come on, Mom.
Are you saying that there is a healthy fear and an unhealthy?
Oh, we're saying that they're both. Two.
feel all the
Yes,
time.
yes, but it's they're not the same kind of fear.
No, right, it's a different fear.
The word, yes, but it's not the same type of fear. It's a different, exactly. And it's not only that, one is of a higher vibrational rate, and one is a low vibrational rate.
That's the imagination.
That's what the imagination contributes to the rate.
Sure, a lot of things I feel, I conjure myself. I make
Sure.
a whole scary movie out of it. I'm almost watching it.
But let me tell you something. Psychology, European psychology, is to induce fear.
Sure.
So there's many things that's induced to bring about fear. And why would one want to be fearful? For the purpose of what? Control. And that's the same thing with the Lord said. Yeah.
I think it's a creative thought, Mo. It's what you create in that thought.
All things, yes. Well, that's what we always do, Mo.
Yeah, because you know, like for example,
Right.
like if I'm looking across the ring and I see the fighter that I'm going to fight got muscle,
Right.
I'm creating an unconditional thought.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm creating.
And you know, in the thought that you're creating is based on the thoughts that you hold.
Right, that I'm looking at.
Because you're going to see the thought that you hold.
Yeah.
The thought that you hold, that you see, manifests. Because we're on the plane of things made manifest. Yes.
Somewhere along that, fear can be a lack of trust.
Fear is that many things contribute to fear.
Right.
Many things. You know. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. So, would it matter about the two cells, what condition I'm in? Like, if I'm in my lower cell, would fear to be more impactful, to be destructive
Oh yeah.
and harmful,
Oh yeah.
and all that, as
Yeah.
opposed to me being in my higher cell?
Yeah. Yeah.
That it would be a fruitful fear.
Yes. Yes. And your choices
Would be
will be
great.
based on
Yeah,
which fears you have accepted.
exactly.
Meaning, what self are you in?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So it says, think not with Arabia that one soul is parted among all men. Neither believe with the sons of Egypt that every man hath many. Okay, let's not go to the next one, but let's talk about that one for a minute. What is that pointing out? Or what is that showing? Just those two, what's it called? Paragraphs. Okay. But what is it saying? What is it saying? What does it want you to understand about the soul?
Don't block me in one way.
Okay. Huh? That's right.
It's just only one.
It's only one. He's giving you two examples for a reason. Because people think when they leave this life, when they come back, they got a new soul. They don't. You bring the same soul back when you come back. Because you are held responsible for deforming it or raising it up. So with this soul that you have, it has to travel with you all the way through. You can't drop it off but get a new one. Whatever you done, it's going to be with you.
Yeah.
So what you got to do, you might as well clean it up.
That's it. What it is.
Because until you clean it up, it's not going to work for you. Because you can't control it.
Can't nobody do it for you.
No, it has to be, you have to do it for yourself.
And you can't turn it in and say, I want a new one.
Oh, no, you can't do that. Yeah. I see your hand, McGee, back?
Oh,
Or is that your eye? When you give me an eye or a hand.
Well, I was thinking about the part where you say
clean it up.
Yeah.
How is it that you can, is it totally clean? Can you totally clean?
Sure you can. You got it when she was clean.
You have to.
You got to clean it. You contaminated it. When it was when you got it, it became a living soul. It was clean.
Yeah.
And not only is it clean, it's perfect.
That's it.
That's all where you.
So anything that you have contributed to it being, it's showing traits of imperfection, you got to clean that up. My brother.
So, how do you start to clean it up?
That's a good question. That's a good question. But the answer is very simple.
Yes.
You must think your condition can be bad.
Being honest.
There's no question. And examining. Take an examination of what you do. You got to take an examination of what you do and stop blaming your discomfort on other people. You have to. And you got to talk to her.
Yes.
You can't be embarrassed to talk to her. You got to go and have a conversation with yourself. You got to ask yourself some questions. But you got to talk to her. You can't, how can you acquaint yourself with her until you talk to her? Because if you ignore, it's just like you don't even acknowledge that she's there. And if you don't acknowledge that she's there, that means she's going to act on her own. Because action is her what? Delight. And she's not going to be withheld from what delights her. Look, without guidance, you leave her on her own. Yes.
So there's a lot of, I'm just thinking about me.
Yes.
I look at it, I need a lot of help. So I have to incorporate those principles that begin to govern my life. I had no governing over my life. I've been operating here, there, and everywhere.
Yes. Right.
So now I believe my condition can be better.
Yes.
So I begin to incorporate things that put me on that path.
Yes.
These principles, and I'm looking at these principles.
Yes.
I'm looking at that verse 28 when it talks about a perception of thyself.
Yes.
I ain't had no perception of myself. Myself was whatever I got myself into.
Yeah.
You know. So now I'm coming to have a perception of something different of myself.
Yes. Yes.
So now I need to incorporate some tools. You talk about the tools and workshop of the mind. You talk about these principles that I begin to help govern my life in a different way than what I had been doing.
Yes.
I have a sensing of my higher self and my lower self. I have a sensing of what the lower self breathes.
Yes.
You know, so these things is what I'm beginning to use to arm myself to protect myself.
Okay.
Is that a safe thing to say?
That's a safe thing to say. You think that I would intercede with all that you see?
I mean, I'm just thinking about this.
You're safe, Mo. You're safe, Mo.
Praise God. Praise God.
Look. Now look. Understand something. Now when I'm talking about gaining some control over her, you know I'm talking about your spirit being activated, right?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Right, praise God.
The spirit must be activated. Because without the activation of the spirit, she's still on her own.
Praise God.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am, sir.
Yes, my brother.
And in order that you have to turn from sin.
Yes.
And strive.
Yes. 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 And now, because of the habits that we have become subject to, we have to teach her sin.
Yes.
We have to teach her what sin is.
Yeah. So she can do it.
Because prior to that, she'd been moving
Right.
Okay.
without no rule.
Right.
No one ever pulled up and said, look, that's not right. Don't do that. She's been allowed
Do what she wants.
to do what she want to do.
Right.
Because we didn't have no rule. So now we got to pull her in and say, look, I understand that what you have been doing, you've been doing it for a long time. But we've reached a point in this developmental stage of ours. And I cannot any longer, with good conscience, permit you to act like this. So now I'm going to have to I got to lay down some rules. Now for a minute, she's going to try it. Because she don't believe you. She does not believe you. You've been letting me do this for all this time, and all of a sudden now you're going to tell me I can't do it no more.
Wow.
No, I'm going to challenge you. Now I, spirit, have to ask the spirit, what do I do now? And in the still small voice, the spirit replies, if you ask in sincerity, you will hear with instruction. But you must appeal to the spirit within the spirit. You must appeal to your higher self, Allah and man. And you ask Allah for instruction. He tells you what to do to gain control of her. He'll tell you sometime, and it'll come to you in different ways, you know. But remember, the key is to ask in sincerity. Because if it's not a sincere appeal, you will not receive an answer. Not from Allah. But your lower self will. And if you're not sure, if you're uncertain, because I'm not familiar with this, if you're uncertain, you will doubt. Because doubts are of your own raising.
That's it.
And once you start to doubt yourself, she's still out there on her own. And that's why that's why it's the conflict that can't be told in words. See, we learn many things on earth. And one of the things that hurt us one of the things that contributed to our low way of thinking on earth is when all of the etheric planes began to receive their nourishment from atmosphere. Then it became dog eat dog. We no longer received our specific diet from the ethers of our native plane. Our diet was altered once we reached the rate of atmosphere. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Now all of a sudden, there's a fight for food. And now man, the Lord, who has the ability to control in his utter shamelessness, strikes down
Yes.
and eats the beast. Your whole diet was altered. Once your diet was altered, your thinking was affected. And you became subject to carnal evolution. The stronger eating the bodies of the weaker. So as we try to enter into the rhythm that brings us back in a harmonious condition with self, the higher self, what we are attempting to do first is gain control over her. That's what we're trying to do. do that, you must be constant in that which is right. Because if you're not constant in that which is right, and your inconstancy, which is powerful in your heart, is able to alter your decision making based on the choices you make, you can never gain control of her, because she will not rely upon you.
To protect her, to guide.
She won't do it, because you haven't done it. You're going to try to convince me you're going to do this for me, and you haven't never done it before? You asked me to just trust you. That doesn't even make sense, does it? So you must, again, be. You must know. And the only way for you to know is that you must be what you know.
So that goes back to the examination.
Exactly. And that has concluded it for today. God bless you. Peace.
God bless you. Peace.
Wow, praise the Lord.
Islam, Lord. I'd like to thank our Grand Chief and moderator of the Moore Science Temple of America, Brother John Bay, for his instructions, for his leadership, quality, and sharing with us what Allah has blessed him with. Praise God, we had a good Sunday school.
Praise the Lord.
Now I'd like to call the Assistant Grand Governor of Washington, D.C., Brother T.K. Beard, to read the warning and cease all movement and give him your undivided attention.
Islam, boy. First I rise and give praise to Allah, the great God of the universe. And I give honor to his holy and divine prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And I give honor to everything that the chairman gave honor to, and I give honor to each and every one of you. It's a great day, Morris. Prophet warns all Muslims, governors, ordered to read proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical, agitating speeches while at work in their homes or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders would be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, and freedom. And when these principles are violated, justice then must take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card button, cease wearing their turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet in the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sins by order of Prophet Noble Drew Ali.
Peace.
Peace.